What's up, everybody? It's BBK Dragoon here. The Taken King is almost upon us. It's time to talk about some Rift tips. I love this game type. This is a really fun objective game type, and it can either be really awful if you are losing to the point where you're getting mercied, right? The other team is beating you so bad. Lord Shaq says, "I've seen enough, I'm calling it off." Or if you have the skills behind you, Rift can become a ridiculously fun game type. For basics, I'm going to teach you 3 simple words that's going to make Rift a whole lot easier and give you something to do in each match and work on. Angles, communication, and teamwork. This is a phrase that came from my paintball days. When I was a little bit younger of a Dragoon, I had a little paintball team. We did some tournament competitive play. By the way, check this out here. Forced spawns. I'll explain spawn stuff a little bit later, but you'll notice here after I kill this player, I look away. And then I look back at the spawn and look who it is right there. If you want to know more about that, you should definitely check out my tip video on spawns. So when I was a littler Dragoon, I played paintball, and one of the first phrases that I was taught was ACT, A-C-T, and that stands for angles, communication, and teamwork. And angles sounds exactly as it should sound, and I think I get blatted so bad. I couldn't get my shotgun out in time right there. The way Rift works, the spawns do not flip easily. In fact, it's very, very hard to flip the spawns in Rift. With that said, it operates a lot like a typical objective game type. If you guys are familiar with Demolition in Call of Duty, it's a similar idea to that. With that said, there is a clear left, right, and middle of the map. And you need to have people covering all axes, all planes across the field to ensure that an enemy runner does not score the Rift into your goal. That's very, very important. Additionally, when you have the spark, like I do right now, you need to work with the left, middle, and right of your team to get a nice, clear objective to score. Unfortunately, I tried to backflip there into the spark point. If you walk backwards into the point when you're the runner, you get more points. So it's always worthwhile if enemies are not around. The reason it didn't happen there is I kind of jumped into it and turned around in the air. You need to walk backwards. I needed to give myself just a couple more paces in order for that to work. So angles refers to you trying to get advantageous angles on your enemy. So most maps, the spark is going to spawn in the middle, as it does here. Players who are on the far right and far left side of the map are going to have advantageous angles on those in the middle. And it boils down to something as simple as, when you are in the middle of a map, you cannot look right and left at the same time, unless you have some sort of alien eye disease, which would be really gross and freaky. If you can do that, you need to go see a doctor, probably. And here, I'm kind of trolling. I didn't want the game to end with mercy, so I jumped back over to our side. I group up with a teammate, and I'm like, all right, we'll get this spark delivered, no issue. And then, of course, when you get cocky, a Blade Dancer comes out of nowhere to put you in your place and say, no, Dragoon, you shouldn't have done that. So angles refers to working on the left and right sides of the map. The middle is where the spark forms. At its most rudimentary form, it means you need to have players on the far right and far left of the 50-yard line. That will allow you to look inwards toward the middle and get advantageous angles on your opponents who are going to be rushing the spark. You are going to have teammates who are also rushing the spark in the middle. Picking up the spark is important, because if nobody is scoring, the team who is picking up the most sparks will most likely win. You get 300 points for a spark pickup. By the way, I did this little cool effect here. This is Frontier. Look how nice the sunlight looks on this map. Oh, it's pretty cool. So this is going to demonstrate my angles point pretty clearly here. On the right, that's what we call Pride Rock. That's a nice angle looking towards their center mid, where you have a lot of players who are sniping and players who are going to be positioned defensively to protect the Rift. Whatever map you're playing on, this is important. I have teammates over on the far left side of this map. I know Sassy is over there. Now I'm on Pride Rock. Look at this angle where I can just poke into their spawn, and it makes it so stressful for the enemy team to try and go and get the spark. They can't do it that easily, because if they do, they're going through my crossfire, and they're constantly battling the distraction of a player on their flank who's putting just enough pressure in there for it to be difficult to pick up the spark. The second part of it is communication. Guys, Rift is a game type where you are going to want teammates. Teammates you can talk to and trust. If you play Rift solo, you're going to be getting a really rough experience. In order to pick the spark up, it takes coordination. And how do you coordinate that? With communication. Additionally, once you have the spark, getting it pushed into their spawn is very difficult. And that really doesn't happen in random matchmaking very often. So I'm just warning you, this is an objective game type. I'm going to assume you have a few teammates that you can work with. The things you want to communicate are picking up the spark now, pushing in. What side are you pushing in, middle, left, or right? And asking other players to go in before you. If you run in Rambo style with the spark before slaying opponents, you're doing your team a disservice and it's going to be almost impossible to get the spark in. Any decent team is going to be set up on defense. You know that indicator that shows when somebody has the spark? You'll see it here in a moment. It's on the left side of the screen. There are 4 dots. Those 4 dots show you how close the runner is to the goal. When all 4 dots are full, there you go. So as you can see, our runner just picked up the spark, and as he approaches towards the enemy team's objective, you're going to see those little dots fill in. Well, the enemies can see that as well. Those are things to communicate, especially on defense, by the way. When you are on defense, it is required that you tell where the runner is coming from, because somebody can blink into the hill really easily. The cherry on top of this Rift pie is teamwork, and this all comes together with a team working together. That means slaying for your runner. When somebody picks up the spark, it's your job to get in front of him and start slaying. You need to kill enemy opponents. There's a 10-second respawn timer for a reason. It's a lot like Capture the Flag in Halo. When you slay opponents and you have a 10-second respawn timer, you are giving more chances for your runner to have a clear path towards the objective. If you're not the spark runner, you want to be leading that charge because you can actually be a fairly good distraction to the enemy team and give your spark runner enough time. If you're almost a meat shield, you'll absorb shots and maybe just give an extra few seconds that your spark runner needs to score the objective. So angles refers to you having a good setup on the map. That means players on the left, middle, and the right who can watch and control all sight lines. That way nobody gets behind you. In a game type like this, they're not going to spawn behind you unless somebody is really messing up the spawns. It's very rare that it happens. So you can sort of make this big brick wall of guardians who can see from left to right the whole field. That's important because if no team is scoring, it's going to come down to who can pick up the most amount of charged sparks. And I've seen many games where nobody scores, but whoever was competing over that charged spark in the middle the best and picking up the most sparks wins the game. Communication is what's going to allow you to score those points, telling the additional information to your teammates. I'm picking up the spark now. I'm running it this way. Hey, could you go in front of me and clear this area out? Or the hectic, defensive chatter of he's running on the right side. You need to pick him out. Or the guy on the left is a decoy. Focus in on the dude coming in from the middle. Those kind of vocal tips to your teammates are going to help you in the long run. And finally, teamwork. It's self-evident. It's the cherry on top of the pie where it's all things coming together. It's your angles and communication working in unison so that you can outplay the opponents, outmaneuver them, pick up the spark, and get it into the objective. So don't forget ACT. Those are some basics for Rift tips. I hope you guys are enjoying this new game type as much as I am. There are going to be some very cool and unique strategies that emerge in the higher level of Rift play. And we may talk about some advanced techniques or map-specific things down the road. If there are any tips that you would like to share with others, please let them know down below. If you enjoy the video, please let me know by thumbing the video up. And additionally, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see some more. Taken King hype, it should be here tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, Guardians, and good luck slaying Oryx this weekend.